Hey guys, it's Wes, and after spending 2 weeks exploring Iceland by Campervan, I've consolidated my trip down into the perfect Winter Iceland 7-day itinerary. This video itinerary will focus on exploring Iceland's southern coast. To be frank, I think you could spend months exploring Iceland, but I'll do my best to consolidate all of my favorite spots down to a more manageable 7-day trip. For my journey, I picked up a camper van from Go Campers, which is situated near Keflavik International Airport. The heating unit in my van kept it warm each night, so you shouldn't have any reservations about going this route for your trip. In fact, I think a camper van is the absolute best way to experience Winter Iceland. The biggest downside to booking hotels is that you'll need to move around a lot, so you'll need to pack up and move locations each night to get around. I recommend the route in this video for a winter trip because the roads in this region tend to be the clearest, the weather a bit better than the north, and because you can thoroughly enjoy almost every site here just as you would during other seasons. This itinerary will set you up nicely for a future summer trip to Iceland where you can focus your time in the North or Highland regions. Now let's jump into the day-by-day itinerary. Most international travelers will arrive at the Keflavik International Airport in the very early hours, fresh off a red-eye flight, which means you'll have a full day of exploring ahead of you. I rented a camper van from Go Campers, and their rental facility is near the airport. They'll have a shuttle you can pre-arrange, or you can take a short taxi ride over to their lot. You'll have a similar experience if you end up renting with someone else. If you do rent a vehicle from the airport area, then consider making Gardur Lighthouse your first stop. I wouldn't consider this a must-see spot, but it was super close to my camper pickup, and I was really eager to see the ocean upon landing, so this is a quick way to accomplish that. From Gardur Lighthouse, you'll work your way over to the iconic Blue Lagoon Geothermal Spa. This is a great way to unwind after your long flight, and given its location, it makes for an easy stop on your drive towards Reykjavik. Just make sure to reserve your entry time well in advance because the Blue Lagoon is notorious for selling out. For this itinerary, we'll skip over Reykjavik for now, but you might want to swing by the Costco near town to stock up on supplies. Otherwise, I suggest shopping at the grocery chain called Bonus. Whatever you do, avoid the grocery store chain named Iceland. Their products are so overpriced that a cashier at one even told me not to shop there. Next, set your sights on driving to Thingvellir National Park. I'd suggest parking at either the Öxarfoss Parking P2 car park or the Thingvellir National Park Visitor Center. From either lot, you can take a stroll through the Logberg volcanic rock formation and through a really scenic valley with great viewpoints. You can try your luck viewing Öxarfoss waterfall as well, but during my trip, this was the only waterfall that was so frozen over you couldn't even see it. But don't worry, if that happens to be the case, all of the other main waterfalls should be viewable. Once you've had your fill of Thingvellir, head over to the National Park campsite where you can park your camper van overnight. This will set us up nicely for snorkeling in Silfra tomorrow morning. Now would be a great time to mention that if you're interested in exploring Iceland with me during the summer, be sure to check out the link in the description. I'll be leading a group of camper vans around the entirety of Ring Road to enjoy the best that Iceland has to offer under the midnight sun. Spaces for that trip are limited and camper vans sell out fast for the summer season, so if you're interested, don't wait around. We'll start off our second day in Iceland with a snorkeling adventure in the Silfra Pond. Set between the continental divide, Silfra is known for having some of the clearest water on Earth. You'll need to book with a licensed activity provider to access Silfra, and I'll leave a link to those in the description. Your guide will outfit you with a dry suit, fins, and mask to ensure you stay dry and warm during the activity. I used Adventure Vikings during my visit and had a great experience. While it might seem crazy to do this during the winter, the water temperature here is always extremely cold, so it doesn't actually make much of a difference when you go. Personally, I think that the snow-covered landscapes make this activity a lot more fun during the winter. If you're interested in learning more about this activity, check out the dedicated video I published covering snorkeling in Silfra. Once you've wrapped up at Silfra, say your goodbyes to Thingvellir National Park and make your way to Brewerfoss Waterfall. This was my favorite waterfall that we'll visit on this itinerary. The vibrant blue water contrasts beautifully against the jet black stone and white snow that covers the area. There's a car park situated near the main viewing bridge, so getting down to the waterfall shouldn't take very long. While there is a slightly longer trailhead in the area that goes for a few miles and tracks the stream, it's likely to be snow covered when you visit, and for the sake of time, I'd suggest skipping over this option. After taking in views of Brewerfoss, we'll make our way into the heart of the Golden Circle and visit Stroker, aka the geyser area. Be warned, this stop and the next are likely to be extremely busy even during the winter. Golden Circle tours from Reykjavik will drop off busloads of visitors to view Stroker erupt. You can find parking across the street, and the geyser is just a few minutes walking from there. During my visit, Stroker was erupting every 5 minutes or so, which means I didn't have to wait long for an amazing eruption. There's a little bit more geothermal activity in this area, but the main event here is Stroker, so once you've seen it erupt a few times, make your way back to your vehicle. From here, we'll drive a few minutes up the road to Gullfoss Waterfall. This is another popular Golden Circle tour location, so expect crowds. There's a short path leading down to the main viewing platform which overlooks the waterfall. It's likely to be at least partially frozen over during your visit, but its power is impressive nonetheless. After enjoying the waterfall views, we'll head south towards Carrot Crater. Carrot Crater is known for its vibrant colors and volcanic crater lake that resides in its basin. During my trip in February, the snow here had already partially melted, which revealed some of the vibrant colors that make this such a popular spot in the summer. I've read elsewhere that it's a bit unimpressive if there's still a lot of snow here, but if the conditions are just right, I think you can have an experience better than in the summer as the snow adds an extra dimension to its beauty. You can walk down to the water or along some of the ridges that take you high above the volcanic crater lake and provide sweeping views of the surrounding area. If you're doing good on time and want to hit a hot spring today, be sure to check out Secret Lagoon. It's usually a little bit less crowded than the Blue Lagoon, but you'll still want to reserve a ticket in advance if possible. Tonight, you'll want to park your camper in the town of Selfoss. There's a campsite here that I stayed at a few times during my visit, which I really liked. We're going to start off day 3 with one of my favorite Winter Iceland adventures by taking a hike out to the Reykjavik Hot Spring River. This round trip hike is going to be around 4 miles total or 6.4 kilometers, so make sure you've brought a good pair of snow boots. You'll also need to bring a swimsuit and towel with you if you plan on getting into the hot spring creek itself. And as a heads up, the changing facilities here are pretty basic. You'll almost be changing out in the open, so this might not be a great activity for you if you're not comfortable with that. When you eventually make it to the swimming area, you'll find some small dividers that provide minimal cover for changing and stairs that lead down into the stream. The wooden stairs and platforms were pretty slick when I visited in the winter, so be extra careful. The stream felt like warm bath water, and despite the frigid temperatures and surrounding snow, I felt perfectly warm and comfortable soaking in the hot spring stream. Once you've had time to properly relax, make your way back down to the car park and even consider grabbing a hot coffee at Reykjavik Cafe near the exit. Our next stop for today will be the Seljalandsfoss waterfall. This waterfall is one of the most recognizable and photographed in all of Iceland. Part of its popularity derives from being able to walk behind it, but you probably won't be able to do that during the winter. While it won't be a great time to approach this waterfall, don't worry, there's another one in the area. Don't miss out on the nearby secret waterfall cave. If you continue walking from Seljalandsfoss another 10 to 15 minutes, you'll stumble upon a stream that leads into a cave known as Glufrabui, which is borderline impossible to pronounce. You'll need to walk upstream a bit to access the waterfall. Your feet will get wet, and the mist from the waterfall will quickly soak whatever you're wearing. Either wear waterproof gear or make this a quick pit stop. If you do decide to enter the secret waterfall cave, you'll be rewarded with an up-close and intimate experience with Glufrabui. Make sure you get a photo climbing up on the rock, and once you're finished here, it'll be time to knock out some driving. We're going to make a 2.5-hour drive east, beyond the town of Vik all the way to the Skaftafell campsite. If you're hungry, consider stopping in Vik for some black crust pizza. Their pizza was delicious, and they have local Icelandic beers available as well. You'll have another opportunity to experience Vik on the return drive, so don't worry about skipping over Reynisfjord Beach for now. After a quick pizza pit stop in Vik, finish your drive to Skaftafell and get a good night's rest. Next up, we have another one of my favorite Winter Iceland activities, and that is to venture into the blue ice caves of Vatnajökull Glacier. You'll have a 1-hour drive from Skaftafell to Jökulsárlón Lagoon, where this activity departs from. I used local guide of Vatnajökull for my experience, but you can also browse other glacier activities here. Many providers will have shorter and longer ice cave experiences. I definitely recommend booking the longer one since you'll visit more ice caves and get further out onto the glacier. Be sure to arrive wearing good gear, as these tours typically operate rain or shine. During my ice cave tour, we had a lot of wind and icy conditions, but it didn't take away from the experience since I dressed plenty warm. Guides will provide safety harnesses, crampons, helmets, and transportation to the caves. Once you're done on the glacier, be sure to spend some time exploring Jökulsárlón Lagoon. This was one of the most beautiful places I encountered during my visit. It's really incredible to watch the massive icebergs floating across the bay, and after taking in views from Jökulsárlón Lagoon, you want to walk across the main road where you'll find Diamond Beach. Diamond Beach is notorious for its black sand, and because chunks of the ice from Jökulsárlón Lagoon eventually wash up on the shores here. This will be a busy location, but there's plenty of space to spread out along the beach. Once you've had your fill of icebergs, make your way back to your vehicle. Our final destination for tonight will be the Vestrahorn campsite. Now, if you're doing good on time, you could even consider stopping for dinner in Hoffen and to explore town a little bit before reaching camp. If you have time tonight, you could also consider making your way down to the Stocksness Lighthouse. The lighthouse itself is not that impressive, but the ocean views are. During my stop here, there were massive waves crashing into the cliffs below, which made the pit stop worthwhile. If there's still some daylight when you're finished here, you could also explore the nearby Viking village or take in your first views of Vestrahorn, but we'll have more time for all of that in the morning. If you didn't have time or daylight last night, start your morning by taking in views of Vestrahorn from the surrounding area. You can even venture out to the Viking village if you'd like, which was used as a movie set and sits at the base of the mountain. This is one of the most photogenic spots in Iceland. Despite that, I still feel like photos have a difficult time doing the magnitude of this place justice. It's just something that you have to see with your own eyes. Our next stop today will take us east to Eystrahorn Mountain, which resides in the Hvalnes Nature Reserve. Here you'll find a lighthouse, cliff views that overlook the ocean, the uber prominent Eystrahorn, and access to an insane black sand beach. This was my favorite viewpoint from the entire trip. Walking out along the black sand beach, I found that I had the entire place to myself, and this place felt like something out of a fairy tale. Be sure to take the time to walk out to the beach during your visit to Hvalnes. Conditions were extremely windy the morning that I visited, but I stuck around long enough to get my drone out and capture this clip, which did a great job of capturing the moment. After you're done on the beach, our next stop will be the furthest east that we'll travel on this trip, out to the Fauskasandur Beach and the Skaftafell viewpoint. The drive to this viewpoint will take you along some really incredible roads that sit high above the ocean and track along a super steep stretch of mountains. The views of the beach from the main viewpoint are incredible, but there are also some pullouts along the way you might want to stop at as well. Make sure to stretch your legs since we'll have a bit of driving ahead of us from here, as we'll need to start working back west. Next up, we'll head back to the Skaftafell campsite, which is a 2.5-hour drive from our current location. The goal will be to make it here before sunset, since we'll be doing the short hike out to Skaftafell Glacier before wrapping up our day. The hike out to Skaftafell is short, flat, and easy. It's around 1 mile or 1.6 kilometers each way and shouldn't take you too long to reach epic glacier views like this. It should make for the perfect sunset wind-down activity. Make sure you get an early start today because we've got a lot to see before wrapping up our time along Iceland's south coast. Start your morning with a hike from the Skaftafell parking lot out to the Svartafoss waterfall. This short hike is about 2 miles or 3.2 kilometers long and will take you up close with the basalt columns and icy daggers that frame Svartafoss itself. You'll also pass Hundafoss waterfall on your way out in a viewing area that sits high above Svartafoss waterfall. Once you've wrapped up here, hop back in your vehicle and continue west for a pit stop at Vestrahorn Canyon. Admittedly, it was so cold and the windiest it had been during my entire trip when I made this stop that I ended up not spending much time here. I arrived late in the afternoon when the entire canyon was cast in shadow, so it didn't make for great photography conditions either. I do suspect this area is a little bit more worthwhile in the summer when it's covered in green moss and lit by the midnight sun. If you end up tight on time or weather conditions aren't great, you might consider saving this area for a future trip to Iceland. Once you're done at the canyon, keep working west and make a pit stop in the town of Vik. If you didn't have time for black crust pizza on your initial pass through town, make sure to grab some now. After fueling up on pizza in town, make your way to the nearby Reykjavik beach. This is one of the most popular black sand beaches in all of Iceland. Just be extra careful near the water as large sneaker waves are common here. Be sure to walk the beach and check out Hallseinskjöllir Cave, which sits at the base of the large mountain here. There's a cafe near the beach as well, which makes for a great spot to grab a coffee before venturing on to our next stop. Minutes up the road, you'll find the Dyrhólaey Cliffs and Viewpoint. The views from Dyrhólaey are insane as you'll overlook miles of black sand beaches that stretch until they disappear into the horizon. There's a lighthouse and some walking paths that lead you back towards an overlook of Reykjavik Beach, along with some interesting rock formations shooting up from the ocean. Once you've finished up here, we've saved the best waterfall for last. Hop back in your vehicle and continue westward to Skogafoss. This waterfall is seriously impressive, and if the lighting conditions are just right, it's not uncommon to see massive rainbows in front of the falls. The waterfall is a short walk from the main parking lot, so this could be a quick stop if you'd like. Consider taking the time to march up the metal staircase next to the falls for overhead views of the area. There's a longer trail atop Skogafoss that takes you past some other waterfalls. I trekked on for another mile or so before the terrain became impassable. But once you've thoroughly enjoyed this area, it's time to get back on the road. If you're good on time, consider checking out Vestrahorn waterfall, which is just a few minutes driving from Skogafoss. This can be another quick stop, and if you're in the mood to get wet, you can even walk behind the water on this one. After a quick pit stop at Vestrahorn, your next objective today is to decide how much driving you want to do before calling it a day. Our goal for tomorrow is to be in Reykjavik, but it's a 2-hour drive from our current location. You can either buckle down and get there tonight, or split the drive in half and spend the night back in Selfoss. I like saving Reykjavik for the end of our trip since it'll be a nice opportunity to acclimate back to civilization after spending a week living out of your camper. My recommendation would be to fill your day with 2 primary activities, but if you prefer to spend more time just wandering around town, you could either forego one of them or stay an extra night in the Icelandic capital city. I'd suggest starting your day with a whale watching safari. I did this activity with Sea Trips Reykjavik and had a great time, but there are a number of other operators if you want to compare options. Be sure to check out my dedicated video on whale watching in Reykjavik if you're interested in learning more before you go. I'll leave a link in the description where you can book this activity as well. The humpback whales here were particularly active when I visited in February, and if you're lucky, you might see some other whale species as well. A nice thing about whale watching in Reykjavik is the whales tend to hang out a short distance from town, so you'll get into the whale action rather quickly. After spending your morning on the water, I'd suggest booking a Reykjavik walking food tour to round out your afternoon. I had a great time with a company called Your Friend in Reykjavik. This is the perfect way to try a variety of local foods like the Icelandic hot dog and fermented shark. During your tour, the guide will provide insights into their life in Iceland while you explore Reykjavik on foot. You'll also pop into my favorite souvenir shop in all of Reykjavik, a place called Taste of Iceland. The shop owner is really kind, and if you chat with him, let him know that you heard about his shop in this video from Travel with Wes. He'll be super excited. This is another activity where I've put together a detailed video on what to expect. Consider checking that out if you want to learn more, and I'll also leave a link in the description where you can book. After your food tour, daylight hours will likely be running out. This would be a great time to explore town a little bit further on foot, perhaps popping over to the Hallgrímskirkja church for a quick view. If you decide to spend an extra day in Reykjavik, you could also consider joining a volcano hike with a geologist. They'll take you to some prior volcano fields, and you'll learn all about what makes Iceland's landscape so unique. But just as a heads up, it's unlikely that you'll actually see flowing lava on one of these tours. Once you're done with the day's activities, you can either spend the night in Reykjavik at the campsite if you have a camper, or make your way towards the airport. During my visit, I had already spent 2 weeks along the south coast of Iceland, so I elected to spend my last evening at a hotel near the airport. This allowed me time to return my van and enjoy a real bed and hot shower before hopping on my long international flight back home the next morning. If you found this video helpful, be sure to check out my travel blog. I've published tons of content around my favorite activities in Iceland. I've also published a written version of this guide that you can utilize to better plan your winter trip to Iceland. You can find links to that and more in the video description. You'll also find a link to my campervan tour of Iceland's Ring Road. That's a great way to see the best that Iceland has to offer while enjoying long hours of daylight under the midnight sun. I'll take care of all the dirty work and planning. All you have to do is show up, make some new friends, and enjoy the best that Iceland has to offer. Thanks for joining me on today's adventure. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to Travel with Wes for more exciting travel tips and inspiration just like this. Until next time, safe travels and thanks for watching.